Well, let me get to my guest, Catherine Herridge from the Fox News Channel. Catherine, thank you so much for giving us some of your time this afternoon.
Sure, thanks for having me.
The court battles over this executive order by the president continue, this time in a different state, correct?
Well, that's right. There's been some action in the Washington, D.C. area, but it looks like any decision here probably will at least be a week away, and at that point we'll probably have a better sense of what court direction the White House is going to take in this particular case.
And so what are the differences in this case?
Well, the differences in Virginia is that it's being brought on behalf of individuals who say that they are somehow connected to the Seattle and Washington state cases. And I don't want to give your listeners that information.
Okay.
But I was actually expecting to talk about something else.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did...
on this segment. So I don't want to confuse issues. I've been doing research on the number of refugees who've actually come in since there was a stay on the travel ban, which is 1,100 in the last week. And that is a jump of about 20% over that period before the travel ban was put into place. And I'm talking about the 7 nations that were specifically on the order. So I apologize if there was any confusion on my end, but I don't want to give your listeners bad information.
I don't think it's confusion on your end. It was confusion on my end, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, sure.
So on the 1,100 that you're talking about, these are people that have come in since the temporary stay was ordered?
That's right. So all this legalese is confusing for people. So let's just do it chronologically.
Sure.
So the first week of the Trump administration, January 20th to 27th, there were about 900 people who entered the U.S. as refugees who are from these 7 nations that are the subject of the travel ban. So that's Iran, Iraq, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Iran, and Libya.
Okay, right.
Now, what we know in the last week, since the court has essentially put a block on that order so it can't be implemented, is that the number of refugees from those 7 countries has gone up to almost 1,200. So it's about a 22 to 25% increase over that previous period. And supporters of the administration say it's evidence that I wouldn't say it's a flood of refugees, but people are going to try and take advantage of this window to see if they can't push through their applications to enter the United States, because Homeland Security and the State Department are obligated to follow the court's decision.
Sure they are.
Continue processing people, but there's an added urgency, right, on these applications to try and get in before there's any further action. And the reason, the one sort of data point I want to draw your listeners' attention to is that half of the people involved, about 500 to 600, come from Iraq and Syria. And the reason that matters is that this is really not only the hub for ISIS, but what's been lost in the conversation is that this is really kind of ground zero for a resurgent al-Qaeda. Just this week, about a dozen al-Qaeda fighters were killed in an airstrike by the U.S. So not just ISIS, it's also al-Qaeda.
Wow. So, I mean, in other words, there's evidence that threats do exist in these countries, and now we're seeing a surge of people trying to get over here while this thing's lifted out of fear that the Trump administration is going to impose something new soon.
Look, there's no question that with the stay on the travel ban, people are trying to take advantage of this window because they don't know how long it's going to be open. And the number of people entering from these 7 nations has gone up 25% over what it was in early January. And I would never suggest the majority of people coming from Iraq and Syria are terrorists. The lion's share are people who are trying to escape what is really, it's like a subhuman sort of existence there now. So I'm not suggesting that, but you can't ignore the data on where these groups are operating, and they're operating in countries where the governments are not functioning and they're failed states. So Iraq, the eastern part of Syria, Libya, Somalia. And one of the arguments about this pause in the refugees is that and maybe this is the simplest way to explain it to people, when someone at Homeland Security or the State Department has questions about an application and they want to pick up the phone, there's no embassy in Yemen. There's no way to pick up the phone to an embassy in Somalia, or even to call the government and have someone on the other end to explain the information that would resolve your questions.
That's just stunning.
I mean, it's really that simple. You can't resolve it with a person because the government's not functioning.
Excellent point. Catherine Herridge, thanks for your time. Sorry for the confusion earlier.
Yeah. I hate to have confusion on your show, but I'm always on the side of being upfront, as you know. So.
You're great. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
bye.
take care. Catherine Herridge from the Fox News Channel. So just a little mix-up from the folks at Fox telling us what subject she was going to be talking about today, but that's good stuff. Did you hear that? So liberal Ninth Circuit Court to the rescue. Keep the restraining order in place and let as many hundreds of additional unvetted refugees and immigrants in as possible. It's just an opening. It's like a opening, and like when you're in Star Wars and they say the shields are down. It's like an opening, and now they're all flooding in. That's kind of frightening, isn't it? All right. Glad to get Catherine on. Do need to take a quick break, so hang with me. Phone lines are full. If one becomes available, 314-969-9797. I will get to the rest of your calls right after this.
We met when we were young. I told you where to go.
The Mark Cox Show on FM News Talk 97.1, 98.7, AM 1490, and 97.1talk.com.
If you stream FM News Talk 97.1 on your phone, you know data and battery are precious. Use Next Radio to save both. It's an FM tuner in your phone. Learn more at 971talk.com/nextradio.
The guys at ThrottleNet, if you sit down and talk to them, which you probably need to do, will scare you into doing something. And I don't mean that they're out to scare you into doing business with them, but if you talk to them about the threats that are out there, whether it's someone stealing your data and basically wanting ransom to get it back, that is frightening, and it happens all the time. It happened to the St. Louis County Library System. They've seen this firsthand. They know how difficult it is to keep people from clicking on a spam phishing email or getting into your system. It's why they understand how important data backups are. And that's what they're going to talk to you about at ThrottleNet. They don't require long-term contracts. They arrive when you need them. They to get the job done. They want to make you happy, and they participate in profit sharing, which means that they're going to do their best work while they're there. Right now, they've started a 24-hour-a-day, 365-day-a-year local support line. It's not outsourced outside of St. Louis. Somebody in the St. Louis area is picking up the phone when you call. That's a huge deal, and it sets them apart from other local IT companies. Call ThrottleNet at